Thank you all, and good evening. Happy October, or as President Biden would say, Merry Christmas. Glad to be with you all tonight. And who's ready to have a red November this fall? It's going to be excellent. You know, Hardin County, I tell you, my hat's off to you. You all have helped lead the state in flipping Hardin County red by registration. And Kentucky is now officially a majority Republican state because of your hard work over the years. So thank you for what you all have done. You know, there's a lot of great candidates on the ballot here in just 31 days. It's so important that we focus our time and attention on this home stretch, on supporting local candidates. Because what we've seen in Virginia last year, Governor Youngkin's race, is that people are engaged with local government. Whether it's from the school board to your local offices, the courthouse, our legislators as well. It's so important that we send a message right here in Hardin County that we vote conservatives into office. And then next year, we can focus on the governor's race. And so we can make Andy Beshear and Joe Biden have something in common, make them both one-termers in office. It starts right here. You know, I grew up in a Democratic county. When I graduated high school, I think Scott County was somewhere around 70% Democrat. There was no elected Republican in our courthouse. And oh, how things have changed. Thank you, Joe Biden. And so it's so important that we here in rural America, we're sometimes forgotten about. Sometimes we're forgotten about underneath this current governor, but especially in Washington, D.C., is that we get our base out to vote. All this hard work that these candidates have put in, let's not leave them hanging here. Let's make sure that you talk to your neighbors and your friends, you get on social media and encourage them to come out. And lastly, how about a round of applause for those candidates that had the courage to put their name on the ballot earlier this year and run for office. Thank you for everything you all done. And if you are a family member or spouse of one of these candidates, let's give them a round of applause too, because they've had to put up with all this as well. So here are a few issues across Kentucky that are really getting people just really riled up across our state. Number one, we got to remind folks that this historic, out of control inflation is to be put at the hands of President Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden inflation, whether you feel it at the gas pump, at their grocery store, or inputs. We got to remind folks that it wasn't the Republican Party that did this, and we cannot spend our way out of inflation. Number two, Kentucky is not a border state, but we have border state problems. All we have to do is ask somebody about the scourge of addiction in rural America and in Kentucky, and who can tell me what the number one cause of death in Kentucky is, age 18 to 45? What is it? Overdose. But what is it? It's fentanyl. And where's it coming from? Mexico. It's coming across the border, made in China, going through the Mexican border. And so we may not be a border state, but we have border state problems. So we got to make sure that we're tough on crime, but we also give those who are willing to clean themselves up and go through recovery a second chance as well. You know, as Republicans, we also need to remember that we are the voices of so many across our country when it comes to making sure that we support our educators. My mom spent 30 years in the classroom teaching people. I've done it myself. That's what my doctorate's in. But it's also important that we, as conservatives, remind folks that parents should have a say-so in what's being taught in the local classroom. It's so important to have parental choice. And so if we have any school board candidates here tonight, thank you for doing that. We're going to have a lot of folks out there supporting that as well. We also need to remind the voters that just 3 years ago, Kentucky and the United States of America were net energy exporters. We need to vote people into office that share that value of American energy independence so that we're not dependent upon foreign countries for our fuel, our food, or our future. We got to make sure that we support that as well. And we also need to have some common sense. That I think that it's wrong to let biological boys play against girls and women's sports. It's just plain wrong. Our legislators passed a bill to protect women's sports just a few months ago. Andy Beshear vetoed it, and guess what? Both Republicans and elected Democrats voted to overturn that veto. So it's so important. It's so important that we send a solid message going into 2023. Okay, so what can you do tonight to support your local candidates for office? Well, number one, take a picture with them tonight. Raise your hand if you're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Take a picture with your local candidates here tonight. Have them hold a yard sign, have them hold a bumper sticker. Post that on Facebook, because that does a couple things. Number one, it lets people know they missed out on some good children, which I'm going to take on my road trip to Breckenridge County here in a few moments. Number two, a lot of folks may just now be paying attention to the local elections. You all know the candidates. You know the territories, but there's a lot of voters out there that may not know who to vote for, who the candidates are. That helps raise awareness going in so we can peak on November 8th. Another thing you can do tonight is pick up a yard sign, road sign, bumper sticker, anything you can to help support your candidates. If you don't like bumper stickers, you just put on your back of your window. You can peel it right back off on November 8th. A lot of folks do that as well. Then the last thing that you can do tonight, to support this cohort of candidates tonight is good old-fashioned word of mouth. Because when you talk about candidates to undecided voters, your endorsement of their candidacy is more effective than the endorsement of some elected official who doesn't even live here. Because it communicates to your family, your friends, your co-workers, the people you go to church with tomorrow, that you're backing so-and-so for which office. And that's very, very, very effective. And so in conclusion, I just want to say it's an honor to be here tonight. Thank you for inviting me here, inviting me back. I think that this is going to be a red November. We need to make sure that we elect these folks here tonight. We also need to rescind Congressman Brett Guthrie back so he can fire Nancy Pelosi in Washington, D.C. We also need to send Dr. Rand Paul back to the U.S. Senate so we can ask Dr. Fauci some tough questions. So, as a Republican, I'm so proud of the hard work that you all have put in tonight. Let's make sure we keep it rolling through the next 30 or so days, and then we can come back and have a conversation about not just the governor's race, but the other statewide races going into 2023. Because at the end of the day, this country is a country that I love. I will never apologize for being an American. That we are that shining city on a hill. We're the beacon of freedom for untold millions around this globe. That only in a country like the United States you can grow up in a tobacco patch without much, and one day serve as state representative, one day serve as Commissioner of Agriculture, and perhaps one day run for governor of Kentucky. That nothing makes my blood boil more to see elected officials, particularly in Washington, D.C., that do nothing but tear down who we are as a country and as an institution. That we need to make sure that we protect who we are, that we should be proud of who we are as Americans, that I'm proud to live in a country where we stand for our flag, where we kneel before our God, and we give our men and women in law enforcement the respect that they deserve. May God bless you, and God bless the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Let's finish strong on November 8th. Thank you so much.